All right. This is the first time we're trying this. Absolutely. My mouse is smooth as butter. Smooth as butter. How dare you all assume that this fine peripheral company Logitech could be causing all of the problems on my computer. Anyway, I mean, I hope I don't... Maybe I should try to include that. That means I would have to edit it. But yeah, hello, hi. It's January 31st, 2026. We were just doing some live tech problem solving. We didn't solve anything. I mean, we put a band-aid on it. We identified where the problem was coming from. But we have not identified what the problem is. But we're back. Hi, how are you? I have 2 more problems to address, which is why I'm here. I was so eloquent on that first take, and now I got nothing. No updates on the sewer. We're still waiting for the city to tell them whether or not they can do whatever they're gonna do. So there's still a big hole in our front yard alleyway. And now we got 2 more problems. I got 2 more problems, and we're gonna go over that here in this stream of Farlands and beyond. And 3 problems. I got 3 problems now, as this latest one we discovered. Have you got your woofs ready? You may notice that today, a mere 12 minutes ago, we may or may not have loaded the world, but don't worry about that. If you've got your woofs ready, that'll be a moot point. Moot. Woof. Wolfie's ready. He's like, where did you go? I woofed and everything, and then you left. All right.
It's a nice change of pace to see a place that's not falling apart here. I guess even sinkholes know better than to open undersupply depots. Are they like taller structures like that newly built radio tower that got swallowed by one?
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks. That's a Roadcraft reference for everybody who doesn't know what the heck that was a reference to. But yeah, welcome back to Farlands and beyond as we continue walking north. The destination's unknown. So much stuff. So much stuff is happening. So yeah, I think I even mentioned in the last stream. Oh yeah, it interrupted. I got like a pop-up telling me that my hard drive was out of space. I had less than 5 gigs available on my C drive. And I'm like, I know. And like a couple years ago, a very generous fan sent me a new 2 terabyte SSD because I've been having this problem for multiple years. But I never got around to using it because in my mind, to upgrade my system drive means I would have to completely reinstall the system, and I was not prepared mentally nor emotionally nor spiritually to have to reinstall all of the programs and all of the settings that I've worked on and fine-tuned since I built this computer in 2017. Did I build this in 2017? So I never did that. But I finally figured to bite the bullet over this past weekend. I had some time on Friday. Wasn't gonna stream. Take the day off. So I figured, alright, I don't need to just, like, start from scratch. Even though I might be maintaining some problems by just cloning the hard drive, but I'll just clone the hard drive from the smaller hard drive to the bigger hard drive, and then you swap them out and the system is none the wiser. So I start looking into that, and of course there's like 16,000 scammy sounding hard drive management cloning software systems. Alright. Yo! Oh my god. Wolfie, you're ready to become problem number 4? Serenity, no. Serenity, no. Alright, let's go down here. Yeah, you let us know if it's safe. Oh, Christmas. Where's Wolfie? Uh-oh. Wolfie? Shoot! Did I, like, sit him down accidentally? I didn't stand him up. I'm assuming that's the case. Oh my god. I'm like, Farlands or Bust is the series where I can talk. Okay, I guess I'm not going back up that way. Oh, man. I need a new job. What are you doing still sitting down? Oh. I'm glad all of that was pointless. That really encapsulates everything, doesn't it? Anyway, as I was saying, went through all the Reddit posts and forums about how to clone your system drive. There was one piece of hardware or software that everybody liked, but it's no longer offering. It doesn't offer a free version. So I'm like, it seemed the next best thing was a piece of software called Clonezilla, which is basically like a Linux thing. So you basically make like a bootable USB drive, load into it. Oh, Clonezilla! That's the perfect software, everybody in chat says. So I loaded into Clonezilla, because I'm a real hacker man. And now the idea I had, the idea is sound. The idea wasn't the problem. I had my old hard drive, where my Windows and programs are installed, 250 gigabytes, not big enough. I have my M2 drive, which is a terabyte, which I originally got to put my system on, but I didn't want to do the system transfer thing, so I put all my games installs on that. And then I had the new 2 terabyte solid-state drive. So I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need 2 terabytes for my system, but I could use 2 terabytes for my games. So I first used Clonezilla successfully to clone my video games install drive to the new 2 terabyte drive. And then I'm like, then I'll clone the system drive to the M2 drive, which is theoretically faster and better. So I cloned the games drive. Perfect. Worked great. And then I went to clone the system drive to the M2 drive. No, I didn't make any mistakes. I chose the correct drives and all. And then it immediately threw an error at me, telling me that my source drive has both MBR, what are those called? Partitions and GTP partitions, whatever the two different types of partition formatting are. And because of that, it could not continue. So I'm like, well, balls. So I do the whole rigmarole looking around. I'm not the first person with this problem. And then it says, well, that's a problem. Like, that's a mistake. A drive should only be one or the other. So then I looked, and I looked in Windows. My Windows was still working. My computer was still working. I looked, and my C drive was a MBR hard drive for my system. Actually, most of my hard drives are. I don't know why. That just must have been the default whenever I format new hard drives, and that's what it's stuck with. Except for the ones that are bigger than 2 terabytes. I guess if you have a hard drive that's bigger than 2 terabytes, it has to be the other one. Anyway, all of the instructions I sought told me to simply use Clonezilla. Even Clonezilla told me to use Clonezilla to simply erase or remove the incorrect record, the incorrect GBGBs, Mr. Jeeb, the other one. And then I would be able to clone it, because all that would remain would be the MBR records. And I'm like, okay, I will do that then. So I did that, and it was successful in doing that. It was like, thumbs up, you did it, good job. And then I'm like, okay, so now I can clone the drive. And of course, it's like, this Clonezilla is a big nerdy program where you gotta be like using Linux command line, sudo, make me a sandwich stuff. I really hate these types of programs. I need a user interface, please. But I'm dealing with it. Everybody's recommending Clonezilla, so I'm like, this is the one to use. And so I go to clone the drive, and then immediately error. There are damaged sectors on the disk. Cannot continue. And then it just like gives up. I'm like, oh, okay. But then it also suggests, okay, use. If that happens, that means that like your system file is damaged. And if I'm like, it was working, the system was working prior to this. And it's not a physical hard drive, it's an SSD, so there aren't like physical damaged disk particulates or whatever. So then what everybody on the internet was saying was there's like an advanced Clonezilla thing to basically like write everything, just clone everything, even if it's damaged, sort of a situation. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. So I get that started, and then it continues past the point of where it threw an error before, but then it was listing all of the bad, whatever it was finding. Bad file, cannot read. Bad file, cannot read. Skipping to the next one. Bad file. And as this was happening, the estimated time remaining was climbing and climbing and climbing, and it pretty much was listing every single thing it came across as a bad sector. 8 hours, 24 hours, 72 hours remaining in the clone process. And I'm like, well, that's not right. This certainly wasn't part of what I signed up for. So, I can't remember what I did, but I canceled, in situ, in middle of cloning, I canceled the clone. And I'm like, all right, what the hell? I'm gonna find another way to do this. So I go to boot my computer back on my original drive that was working fine, and now Windows won't start. Windows immediately gives me a blue screen. I can't remember what the error was, but it basically just like froze after the Windows logo and like didn't give me any options. And then I tried to, for funsies, I tried to boot from the new drive just to see maybe it did get copied over and I just wasn't privy, and no, that didn't boot. So that was when panic set in. And I'm like, after all this, I'm gonna have to reinstall
Prep
Windows.
your flab for 6 hours, 6 minutes, and 6 seconds.
Cursed. A cursed ding. Yeah, bad system config, missing boot record or something. I don't remember. I took a, like, I say I took a screenshot. I took a, like, actual picture with my phone. Actually, no, I didn't. Oh, it went away too fast. Oh yeah, I took a picture of Clonezilla saying, warning, can't read sector at 212-18-0672, lost data. 43 hours remain. Block 519,000 out of 60,672,048. So the only thing I could think of at the time was to try to run check disk. So I, like, tried to restart the system, like, whatever the minimum, like, 4 or 5 times before it just, like, defaults to safe mode. I don't think I deleted the wrong type of record. That wasn't what it was supposed to be. I mean, maybe Clonezilla did something stupid. So anyway, I ran an in-depth, like, check disk, of which it had, like, 8 hours remaining at, like, the start. So I just let that run overnight. Fully succumbed to the fact that it's probably lost. And I'll have to reinstall Windows somehow. I don't know how. I don't even have, like, a backup. There's a recovery disk. Guess where it is? On the hard drive. Of course there's a recovery partition. And I was not gonna buy and install Windows 11, that's for sure. And then other things happened on the same day, Friday night. That's part 2 of the story. But anyway, Saturday morning, that was yesterday, right? Yeah. I woke up, it was completing with the check disk. It said it didn't find any errors. So I'd, like, told it to restart, and it did a further, like, check disk thing at the restart. And then Windows booted fine. as if nothing happened. Windows was back up and running. Still on my old hard drive, mind you, with less than 5 gigs of space available. Check this. Fixes file system errors, not whatever this was. Well, it fixed something, because then the computer booted. I did like the in-depth check disk. Whatever, like, check disk /F, and then /N, or U, or whatever. I don't know. Regardless, the stroke of luck that my Windows was working again, and it didn't lose any of my programs or files, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna try a different program. I found, what the heck is it called? It's called, like, Disk Genius. That's what it's called, Disk Genius. A real genius. Of course, this is one of the, this is not like a command line thing. This is something that, like, just runs on your computer, which, like, everybody was wary of. It's kind of weird to clone your hard drive if you're running on the hard drive you're cloning. Ooh. Maybe it was a bootloader. That sounds familiar. Boot records. Boots. Boots my boots. Doesn't matter. It's over now. So I loaded that program up and started that process. And it immediately blue screened my computer. So that was great. That was a great way to start the day. So I looked into it, and like some people were saying maybe it's because there isn't enough like space on your hard drive to like work off of, or like maybe there's like a cache file or something that like in trying to do the clone, it like maxed out what was left of the hard drive, and Windows just went like had a stroke and died. So I went through and like deleted stuff and uninstalled stuff that like, okay, I can get this back. I like, you go into your like user file and there's like all these folders for all these video games I played once like 11 years ago. So I got like, I don't know, another 10 or 15 gigs free. But then there's also this Disk Genius, not sponsored, by the way. There was also a way to like run the clone, but like after restarting in like a basic environment. So I'm like, all right, I'll do that too, since that worked out so well for me before. Oh, I need beds already. So I started that process. It restarted. Oh, I thought that was a creeper or something. It took like 12 minutes to do the entire cloning of the system drive. And then the computer restarted and I went into the BIOS, whatever, boot order, and I chose my M2 drive, the one I copied to, and Windows loaded. It loaded fine, and everything was where it was supposed to be. And that's where we're at. Except I guess some sort of shenanigans with my USB ports that cause my mouse and other systems to lag every 5 seconds, which was resolved by simply unplugging everything from the front USB holes on my computer. Where's my shears? There's my shears. Didn't have to do anything with USB. It's the same hard. You would think that was kind of a problem before all of this, but it was like once every 5 minutes, my mouse would like freeze on the screen before it would like move again. And I thought that was just one of the problems that I was going to have to live with. Just like, okay, I could live with this and live my life, or I could like start fresh and reinstall Windows and everything over again, and I don't want to do that. The USB reader did not have a card in it. That is also where my, like, I also plug in my controller, my Xbox controller to the front. It's a faster hard drive, so the freezes are more frequent, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it has anything to do with the M2 drive, because on this motherboard, when you plug in an M2 drive, it like disables a few SATA drives because it like uses the same bus or whatever. But I don't think it's supposed to do anything with the USB drives. But that, again, that was previously already installed. It just wasn't running the system. I will say the USB ports on this motherboard I've always kind of had some issues with them. To the point where I was like considering buying just like a PCI the expansion USB with USB slots in it. I don't know. Anyway, welcome. We have much more room now in our computer environment. Feel free to stretch out, man spread a little bit. We've got 750 gigabytes of free space for all sorts of NVIDIA install cache files and .dll files and just so much stuff. We could save so much stuff to our desktop and not worry for a while. Anyway, so that was my computer related ulcer over the weekend. And you wonder why I don't ever try to like do anything. Why would I try to improve things? When this is the thanks I get. Can you store my virus collection? I will only store Trojan horses. I'm a real horse person. That is not what you cut down a tree with. This is... Whoa. So the other thing that started happening Friday night in the midst of the 8-hour check disk thing that was running on my computer. We all know Juno is getting old. and she's had some problems walking around. She's got arthritis, they say, and kidney problems too. But on Friday night, kind of like out of the blue, whoa, that's lava right there. She started acting very funny. Basically, like, prancing? I guess prancing on her front legs is the way I could describe it. And the girlfriend was home and down here doing laundry at the same time, and we noticed, just like, what is she doing? And again, like, the rest of the day, nothing like this. But basically just, like, nervously prancing. Like, even when trying to stand still, she would just be, like, prancing. It's like, are you, like, in pain? If, like you're walking on hot coals or something? But she didn't seem in pain. But she was very confused. Seemed very, like, couldn't focus on us. Or, like, did she, like, suddenly go completely blind? Like, she's been losing her sight and ability to hear things. But yeah, and it just, like, continued throughout the night. And, like, she'd, like, run into things. And it's just very... an additional stress. Like, all of a sudden, this happens. So yeah, like, she couldn't relax on the couch when we were sitting with her at night. Like, the girlfriend said, like, just, like, in her face, like, it looked like she aged 5 years in the hour that we noticed that. Yeah, sorry. Y'all got the crying faces. You weren't the only ones. But yeah, that was super sudden and stressful and not an additional thing we needed. She's still with us. She's still here. But yeah, that was like, I was like, we're trying to look up what it is. Dementia stuff. Something called, like, sundowner syndrome, where, like, I guess old dogs and even, like, people, like, in the evening, like, when the sun goes down, like, get all confused and anxious. Like, it did happen at, like, sunset. Could be that. And yeah, the next morning, the girlfriend brought up, you know, we didn't even think about it, but it's possible she could have, like, had a stroke at some point in the day, and, like, we just didn't notice until we came downstairs and she started acting like that. I don't know. Like I said, I've never owned a dog, so I don't know how that happens. Yeah, late in the day, anxious and messed up. Yeah. So yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Like I said, she didn't and doesn't seem, like, in pain. Just, like, a complete lack of, like, coordination. She was agitated because she was, like, yawning a lot and, like, half yawning. So, like, she seemed as frustrated as we were to, like, not understand what was going on. She still ate her food. And the next morning, she was still doing it a little bit, but a little bit better. And last night, similarly, we went on a walk yesterday. Did a little short walk. She was fine. I took her on a walk today. I thought, like, okay, she's getting old. Maybe that was an episode, and maybe it'll happen again. But today I took her on a walk, and the girlfriend was out on a hike. I haven't talked to the girlfriend about this, but like midway through the walk, we're going on short walks. You just like, it almost seemed like she stepped on something and like she wouldn't walk on one of her rear paws and like her knuckles were curling under instead of like walking on the pads of her feet. And like, that's scary and frustrating. Well, yeah, we got home. She's walking around the house fine. Yeah, definitely something neurological. Maybe she has a tumor in her brain and it is getting to something right now. So yeah, and it definitely an additional stress on top of computers crashing and sewers clogging and backing up. What was the third thing? Didn't I say there were 3 things? Oh yeah, mouses freezing. Computer mouses. Car batteries not batterying. Calendars mailing. Or attempting to. But yeah, the Juno thing is very sad. I got very sad, if I can admit as much. And we're definitely having to have discussions about plans that may be necessary. But so far, nothing like that has happened. Yeah, I'm gonna see how she's walking. Because it's just like super frustrating because then we gotta like try to walk all the way back to the car. And she's like barely standing on her legs correctly. And then I don't know, I get like very like self-conscious and like people are like, look at this jerk walking his dog who's injured. But yeah, I don't know. Hi, everybody tuning into Farlands for some happy, uplifting story time. Too bad. Not today. I mean, there are like 5 or 10 other things to be stressed about on a grander global national scale as well, I suppose. That goes without saying. But here we are. Here we are. Doing our best. Or maybe not even doing our best. Just doing. We're at least doing. That could be counted as a positive. I'll just swim. And then yesterday, because I was frustrated and just didn't want to stream or have idle hands, I tried to make like a bread, like a garlic bread for pasta the girlfriend was making. And I tried using one of those baskets that somebody got me on Throne, like the proofing basket. And despite using copious amounts of flour, it got stuck to the basket and like ripped open the bread, and then it like bleh. What was supposed to be a loaf or a baguette turned into a flat bread on the pan. It still tasted good. It's still good. It was still good bread for dipping into pasta. A pain in the ass or a pita? That joke works on at least 2 levels, because pain is also a word for bread. Indeed. Yeah, what's new with everybody else? Oh, man. You're down to 1 fish in your tank. 12 years. 12-year-old fish. I've like also not been like doing things like that. I'm just like grocery shopping, showers, laundry. Your car passed inspection. You got a ticket for a magic show. Or did you? Now the ticket is in my front pocket. Magic. Speaking of fish, why am I holding on to this fish? The ticket is now diamonds. Keepers and Niblet had a vet visit, just a normal checkup yesterday. No, Friday. And while it was expensive, everything... I mean, we haven't gotten the blood tests back, but everything seems fine with them. So that's good. To test if it will heal Wolfie. I kind of also, like, wanted... I don't think it will. I don't think they do that. But when I do it, I want to wait till I like, have half a heart gone or something so I could see if I'll eat it or not. They're apparently the right weight. We constantly think Peepers is a real chunkus because he's always eating the rest of Niblet's food. But I guess he's the right weight. He's just very dense. Just under 10 pounds. Yesterday was Friday? Might as well have been. At this rate. Wait, today is Saturday, isn't it? What in the hell? No, it must have been... Well, it was Thursday, then. Okay, I guess it was Thursday. Thursday, because that was when... I was thinking... I've been operating on the assumption that today is Sunday. You get my point. So Thursday night. It was Thursday night. I've been telling all of these stories as if today was Sunday. So it was Thursday that I was having computer problems. And Thursday that we were having Juno problems. And that was it yesterday? I think yesterday the girlfriend took the cats to the vet. So that was Friday. That was correct. My brain hurts. Oof. At least your computer is working again. True. Sort of.
Side sleep in that I missed during the story.
Unforgivable. Ooh, look at that big chasm. Love a good chasm. Spooky chasm. I don't know why I'm reminded of, but it reminds me of the Moonanites. The shape. Alright, I shouldn't go that deep or Wolfie's gonna spawn in here. I don't know why this shape... It just reminds me of that. I mean, it's probably the pixeliness, so that would be very difficult not to look like, but... Get punched in the microphone. There he is. It's a very efficient shape. Yes, it is. Zombles. Oh. Weisberg, right ahead. Boats, boats, boats. Oh no! Dang it. I fell out. It was going too fast. I didn't have my seatbelt on. Flew too close to the sun. So much time saved. Can really only do like 3 jumps. It like starts to veer off course. Ooh. Oof. I haven't really been paying attention, but I've also not seen the shape. I did do a side-by-side comparison of the two screenshots I took. They're not exactly the same. But they're similar enough. Ooh, excuse me. Careful. Oh. That's another thing I gotta start thinking about. It's nearly February. I gotta start thinking about like planting plants if I'm gonna do that. And taxes. I already bought the tax software because it was on sale. At newegg.com. I mean, I guess. If we're doing taxes, I guess. Despite everything. You've been thinking about trying to grow sunchokes? Sunchokes. That's what Homer does to Bart. How does it differ from an Arda? Oh no. Okay. It's a tuber that's related to the sunflower. It's not a tuba. Is it eatable? Or is it decorative? That looks like a llama. Sunchokes are edible. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking of not focusing on food, even though I have like tons of food seeds. Not had good luck with food growing. The occasional potato, perhaps. Herbs, we never use them enough. Like, we have just out in the yard a bunch of rosemary bushes that we'll take from every once in a while. We have a sage plant in a pot that, like, keeps growing. It makes nice flowers, but I don't think we've ever used the sage from the sage plant. Maybe once. What else do we got out there? Oregano. Can't say we've ever used the oregano. We've got a mint plant. Grow and grind your own non-glutinous wheat substitute. We would need acres of, like, rice, it would probably be, in order to, like, equal one bag of rice flour that we can buy for $3.50 on the internet. Side sleeping. We did do zucchinis. We had
Side sleep in.
Thank you. We had a good zucchini year. But last year was a bad zucchini year. I don't think we got a single zucchini. Okay, well, I take that back. We maybe got like 2 or 3 out of the like 4 plants that I had. Tomatoes were not great. The tomatoes were not great. We got some, but not a lot. I tried pumpkins, but they didn't take. Of course, they were also the giant pumpkins, so I probably... My pumpkins were bigger than my possibilities. that was overzealous. Prize-winning pumpkins. I always try, like, lettuces or spinaches, and they just never for me. Or they do, and they just, like, immediately bolt to flower. Oh, careful, Wolfie. That is a hole to somewhere. That, yeah, slugs love lettuce. I mean, slugs love anything that's green. Weirdly, I have, like, some kale that I just, like, threw under one of our trees that, like, won't die. It's not, like, germinating and growing again. It's just, like, the same 5 stalks of kale that, like, continue to grow, like, throughout the winter, and then, like, are just at the base of this Doug fir tree. Fried onions. Onions have never given me a damn thing. Selfish onions. I'll get little sprouts. I'll get little green twigs, but then no bulb. Yeah, I think we're gonna try to pivot to flowers. Sunflowers always do alright for me. The ones that survive, anyway. I got a bunch of dahlias last year from splitting up a single tuber. We've got a bunch of peonies in pots that we probably pretty soon have to decide if we're going to put them in the ground somewhere or just leave them in their pots. And I got a bunch of those little trees to bonsai-ify. Something else the girlfriend was talking about this morning is we gotta buy a hedge trimmer, like a pole trimmer, because our hedge is out of control. We had somebody come out late last year, a quote doing it for us. They wanted like $2,000 to trim a hedge. To trim a hedge. Granted, it's like a 12-foot tall hedge, but still, I need a hedge fund for that. That's where the word comes from, don't you know? Still cheaper than getting your sewer line dug up. By an order of magnitude. Maybe not an order of magnitude. I don't know what that word means. I'm not a math person. Isn't that like 100 times? Yeah, okay. The order of a polynomial function is the highest exponent in it. Ooh, buddy. Anything else new before this here sunsets? Any questions? Comments? Queries? Time for a boat. Loud. I was like, Wolfie? What happened to Wolfie? I still gotta update the overviewer map. I'll update the overviewer map when the timer reaches 0. What exactly decides the color of leaves? I don't know. There is, when I was trying to get this game to run in a current version of the game, with, I mean, the texture pack, there is like a texture file that in our texture pack for the fall colors, like, is a gradient, and I think it just randomly chooses a color from that gradient, or a section of that gradient. But that changes with the current version of the game's, like, biome smoothing, because it really did not work. I just think in the default texture pack for the game, it's just, instead of a texture that includes like oranges and reds and yellows, it's just versions of green. In beta, foliage colors are determined by the humidity? The humidity. The humidity? The humidity. And temperature values at that point. It pulls from the color map in the texture pack. In modern Minecraft, it's per biome, so less granular. Granular? Granular. No, that's a word to say over and over again. Granular. Granular. Go crazy? Don't mind if I do. Wait, that one. All right, you granular grannies. Let's go to sleep and back up the world. Never dig down and never use Clonezilla to copy your system drive. 87,735.15 megabytes. And scene.